who are you? Meaning, who do you identify as? So for me, I identified for many, many years as a speech language pathologist. And that was like always my primary identity. I identified as that because I went to school for that. I worked as a speech language pathologist in many capacities at different positions for over 15 years. I was always a speech pathologist first. I was a medical speech language pathologist. I was a director of rehab and a speech language pathologist. I was a private practice owner and a speech language pathologist. I was an outpatient speech language pathologist. I was a early intervention speech language pathologist. I was always a speech language pathologist. And through this journey, I realized that that was what I believed my identity was. Of course, I, throughout my journey in life, became a mother and an entrepreneur and a creator and all of these things, but all still went back to being my primary identity, is what I'll call it, as a speech language pathologist. So have you ever identified as anything beyond your title as your primary identity? I thought I had, until I had this light bulb aha moment where, when it came down to how I made a living, I would hit a block. And my block was, I still identified myself as a speech language pathologist. And there is nothing wrong with identifying as your profession or your discipline or what it is that you do that creates money. And, pays for your childcare and your way of life. The caveat to that is, what do you identify outside of that? Like, do you even know what that is? I didn't know for a long time. I really was just like, well, that's what I am. That's what I do. But who are you? Who are you? Are you someone who, do you even know what you love to do? Like, if you peel all these layers off, you take out, the motherhood, what you do for a living and all the other things. Who are you? What beats in your heart? What do you love? What do you love to do? Who are you? Are you someone who loves to draw? Are you someone who loves to take walks? Are you someone who loves to dance? Like, these are so many things that I couldn't even answer for years because I lost myself along the way. And it came to a turning point when I was pivoting from direct clinical work, direct patient care, direct, working as a private practice owner, where I didn't know who I was, because that's all I had done and all I had known for many, many, many years. And it took a deep look inward and really kind of, again, peeling back those layers of who am I? And a lot of identity work to be done within myself, because I had found that making a pivot, career transition, was, on the outside, there is some difficulty there, but the majority of the work and the resistance that I was hitting with making this transition was all inside, because I had a hard time thinking and believing that I could make money, let alone make a living, off of doing something that I enjoy, which is how I always love helping others, but to be able to do so in a completely different capacity that had essentially nothing to do with what I went to school for. And I realized that I was hitting all of these edges because I didn't know that I I apparently had these doubts that I didn't even know I had, because it's so ingrained in me from a very young age that you go to school, you go to college, and you get a job. And I did all these things. I did. I followed the path. I did things. But because that was just how I was raised and how I was brought up and how that was how I knew how to do, I, in turn, when I decided to change and do something, whether it was monetarily or not, I was having difficulty transitioning out fully from the capacity of being a speech language pathologist to not. Still using the plethora of skills that I've learned along the way. I've learned so much skills, expertise, knowledge that I can adapt into any job I would love to do, whether it's in an online platform, whether it's mentorship and coaching, whether it's consulting, whether it's I went out and got a job at some other place. It doesn't matter because I have all these transferable skills. But my issue was me believing inside that I could make a complete pivot in my life, a complete change, a complete transformation from one of a speech language pathologist that has, 2 degrees, certifications, so many certifications, been doing, I know a lot about it in so many capacities and so many settings and so many populations. But then stepping outside of that, I had an identity crisis internally. I had an identity crisis. Because again, outside in this outer world, I had done all the things. I did all the things. I found a coach. I found mentorship. I did the things. I created a platform. I created content. I created a program. I created several programs. And yet I still had difficulty with transitioning my mind, transitioning my thoughts and beliefs that I could make a living, that I could receive I could receive financially for these other fantabulous gifts that I have, which is to help others in a different way. So I propose this question to you is, especially if you're in a space of transition, contemplating, or in the middle of a pivot of your own, whether that is a life transition from, say, a partnership, a marriage, to being a single parent, whether that is a career transition from a career and a profession that you've done for 10, 15, 20, 30 years to pivoting to a completely different, unrelated niche, profession, discipline. There's so many moving pieces. It's very multifaceted, again, with like the outer transition, but then also the inner pivot and the beliefs and all of the pieces that fall into place when you are transitioning from something to the unknown. There's so many unknown variables, and it can be very scary and very liberating all at the same time. But there are a lot of pieces of work that need to be done internally, because you may find yourself in a position of, the term I'm going to use is having an identity crisis. And who am I? Who am I to be this person that's going to go out on my own to do something that others may perceive as bold, as crazy, as who does she think she is? Or who is she to be able to just quit her job and now she's just going to go do something she's never done a day in her life at whatever age? It doesn't matter. You're going to always see on some level, maybe it's from one person, maybe it's from many, and you can't listen to them. You can't, because they're not doing what you're doing. They're not you. They're not, what is their opinion? How much weight do you give that? And do you at all? And you shouldn't, because at the end of the day, it's all about you and what makes you happy and what goals you have and what it is that you want to do. That's what matters. And the support that you need to be able to do that. And I will say, from my journey and the many transitions that I've made throughout my career and throughout my life, of a lot of these things I've mentioned that I have gone through, and now I am incredibly happy. I know who I am. I know that I was and I am meant for more. And I am more than capable of creating a completely different life for myself. And it doesn't matter if I went to school for it or not. Because again, there are life skills, there's career skills, there's transferable skills. And then there's innate skills that we are born with, things that we are just innately good at that maybe other people aren't, right? Those people don't know, but you know. And if that little voice inside of you is saying to do it, well, damn it, you better do it, because you'll kick yourself at the end if you don't. And the last thing anybody wants at the end of the day is to live with regret. So the time is now. Do it now. I'm so proud of you.